Hi there, it's Livy here with Solo Adventures. If you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here. I review solo games and solo gaming experiences. Now, as some of you might already know, I am undertaking the challenge to print, play, and review every single game that has been entered in this year's solo BGG PnP contest. So that's a lot of games. I'm attempting to release at least one each and every day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up with this workload, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Today we are taking a look at a game that is called Against COVID-19, and it was designed by designer NCSFY00. This is a game played with just 6 cards, some dice, and some tokens. We are fighting the virus COVID-19 and attempting to wipe it out through strategic use of hospitals, factories, and medical workers. So, how does this game play? Let's take a look. All right, so let's get started with Against COVID-19. So when we first set up this game, we can make our map however we want it. So first we have to shuffle the cards. They're the same, or they're different on the opposite sides. And according to the instructions, we can lay them out in any sort of direction that we want in order to make the maps that we want. So if we want, we can make it kind of look like the US, or kind of look like China, or kind of look like Italy. I live in Germany, and Germany is kind of a blob, so I just decided to lay it out like this. So you lay out your cards, and then we roll one of these dice to select the site for the outbreak. So I got a 2. That means that this place, number 2, is where the outbreak starts. So if we want a normal game, we can start with 4 outbreak points, or if we want hard, we can start with 5. But we're just going to start with 4. So after you have determined your initial outbreak site, you put 1 medical meeple or pawn and 1 medical supplies on the area. Then you take the infected tracker, the turn tracker, and the money tracker. This is the money tracker. It has $40 on one side and $20 on the other. This makes it a little tricky to track the money if you are under $20, so I used this one when we're under 20, but this isn't normally included with the game. So we put the money tracker at 0, and the death tracker is at 0. So then we start going through the different phases that we can see also illustrated here on our handy dandy player aid card. So the first stage is the income phase, and our income that we get is according to the defense level of each area. So it's kind of hard to read here, you have to look really closely, but this is how much money we make per turn when the defense is at its lowest. So I'll explain defense later. So each of these places makes a different amount of money. So this is 4 and 4, so that's 8. 5 is 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we made $25 as income. Change this to the 20 side and put it on 5, so we have $25. And then we have to do the payment phase. So each medical team on the map needs to pay $2. We have 1 team, so we pay $2. Every hospital also needs to pay $2. I don't have any hospitals, so that's okay. I don't have to worry about that then. Then we update the construction progress. This is fine. I don't have any construction happening right now, and I will also explain that later. And then we add up all of the infection points of all areas to get the number of existing infections. So that's just 4. We just add up the number of infection points on these dice. So right now we have 4 infection. So then we do the spreading phase. And in order to figure out how the infection is spreading, we take a look at the infection level. So the infection level here is 4. So we look down here, 4 infection means that we increase it by 3. So 4 and 3 is 7, which means we don't have enough to contain all of the infection in this one area. So we have 6 and then 7. And what happens when you increase the infection level to 6 is you automatically move the death track up 1. And the additional infection is spread to an adjacent area. So the areas are infected depending on what their defense level is. And currently everybody's defense level is at minimum. So I guess I can just pick which one I want. And then we look into the new sources of infections. So we look at the existing infections, which is 4 at this point. If it's less than 10, then 1 new infected person will be added. Otherwise, 2 infections will be added. So if we add in 1 new infected person, we roll this die. And that's 3. That means that another infected person will pop up here on the card with a 3 on it. So here we already have 3 infected areas. Next, we can do our actions. So we can do 4 actions in a turn, and we can choose to do each action multiple times if we want to. So what we can do is we can establish medical teams, we can build hospitals, we can move medical teams around, or we can produce materials. So in order to lower the infection of any given area, we need to use each standing medical team meeple and spend 1 medical material from the same area to cure a virus. So for example, I would need to spend an action to lay this guy down, spend his medical material, and we could go back down to 5. So I can see already that we're going to need a lot of materials. We can see which locations can produce materials based on this little symbol here. So materials can spawn here and here. And the amount that can spawn is based on the infection level. So the infection level is currently 0 on both of these places. So that means that we can spawn a total of 4 medical resources on each of these. So that's my first 2 actions. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's already 2 actions. I'm going to spend another action to construct a hospital. So what hospitals do is when the number of the infections in the area exceeds 6, like what happened here, people will not immediately die because the shelter can accommodate more patients. And then also on a turn, you can use 2 medical materials to heal 2 virus points, basically. The only catch is that we have to build the hospital first. So I'm going to build a hospital there, but it's going to be under construction for the next couple of rounds. So I can take 1 more action. So what I can do is I can raise the defense of one of these areas. or I can make more medical personnel. And I think I will make more medical personnel. You can only spawn them where you see the little pawn symbol. So I will spend a medical personnel. So together, this round I've spent $15, 10 for the hospital, 5 for the medical personnel. So I have $23, so we subtract 15. So we only have $8 left. So I'll just get rid of that. I think that was there. And $8. So those are our actions. And then after that, we go into the death phase. So we calculate the deaths. So according to what the infection level is, that's how many people are dying in each place. So these have infection levels of 1 each. That means that nobody dies here. This has an infection level of 6, which means that 2 people die, and an additional person dies if there's a big city. There's no big city, so we have just 2 people die. And that's the end of that turn. At the end of the turn, you advance the tracker. So the game will end if this tracker, if this turn tracker gets to 15, or if the infection number reaches 19. We win this game if we successfully manage to wipe out all of the virus. So we start again. So first we have the income phase, and we have 4, 4, 5, 3, 6, 3. That's another $25 for us. So that means we have $33, so that would be $20 plus $11. It's a bit unusual, but there you go. And then we have to do the payment, so we have to pay for each hospital or medical person. So I don't know if we have to pay for the hospital that's under construction. It's not really said. So I'm just going to error on the side of myself and just say that we have to pay $4 for our medical teams. Then we update the construction. And now we count the total number of infection points. So we have 6, 7, 8. We add 8 to 4, and that means that we're already at 12. So we're really going to have to do something about these infections if we want to win this game. Because 19 is where we reach the critical mass. So now we do the virus spread phase. So we go, if I believe, we start at the lowest number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we work that way. So 1 has nothing, 2 has a level 6, so if we have a 6, then we add 4 to that. So the spillover is going to move, I think when you have infection already, and they all have the same defense level, then you have to put the excess infection in an area that has the highest infection. So in this case, that will be an additional 4, so that means 5 here. Then we look at area 3, which is 1. 1 infection, we add 1 more infection, so now it's 2. Area 4 doesn't have any infection. Area 5 has 5 infection. So with 5 infection, we increase infection by 3. So that's 8, so that means that we hit 6, so we already bump up the death again, and we have another 2. So that moves over here. Okay. Now we calculate for the new sources of infections. So our existing infections is 14. If the number is less than 10, then we get one new infected person. Otherwise, 2 new infections are added. So we're already at 14, so we get 2 new infections. Get +1 to area 5, which spills over into this nearby area. And an infection in area 1. So that's the first infection there. Now we get to take our 4 actions. So we clearly need to do something about the infections in these areas. So one action we can do is we can move. So I'm going to move this medical team over here and move all 4 of their tokens over here. That's one action. For the second action, we're going to cure. So I'll spend 1 medical supplies, and then we put the meeple down. Infection is back at 5. We're going to cure another infection here. So we lay the meeple down. Infection is at 5. We have 1 more action. I think we need more medical personnel, so we're going to put another one here, and that costs $5. I have $23 left. So those are our actions. Now we go to the death phase. So I think we also have to start from low to high again. So let's see, area 1, 1 infection point, no death. Area 2, 5 infection points, 1 death plus 1 death for every big city. Don't have any big cities. Area 3, we have 5 infection points. So again, that's 1 death and then another 1 for every big city, and we don't have any big cities luckily, so that's just another 1. Area 4 doesn't have any infections. Area 5 is level 5 again. Thankfully no big cities, so we just increase the death tracker again. Already at 7, if we reach 9 we lose this game. And then area 6 doesn't have anything on it. So, oh, I forgot, when you hire a medical team, you can also give them 1 medical supply. So we're at the end of the turn, and we begin again. So first we get our income. It's another $25 because our defense hasn't changed. So that means we're at $48. We have to pay for the medical team. I think that we also stand them up at the beginning of the round. We have 1, 2, 3 medical teams, so that's $6. We update construction. And this hospital is done. I don't know if it's going to do us much good because there's no infection in this area right now, but all right, it's something. And then we count the total number of infection points. So we have 5, 10, 15, 16. We add 16 to 12, and sadly, that means we are over the maximum of 19. So, yeah, we didn't do so well this game. So, yes, we have lost. So, what are my final thoughts about this game? I have to confess that I had a little bit of a bias against this game from the beginning just because of its theme. Now, I don't really know if there's anything wrong per se about making a game about the ongoing pandemic, but I know that when I play board games, I do it to escape from reality for even if it's a brief amount of time. And I've been finding myself doing a lot more solo gaming during quarantine because I find myself getting more and more frustrated with having to stare at a screen constantly for pretty much everything, work, meeting other people. And I really like the analog experience of being able to sit down, look at a board game, move around some cards and some pawns. So yeah, the theme was a little bit iffy for me from the beginning, but I'm going to try to keep that from clouding my judgment of it. So, what do I like about this game? I like, in general, its art direction is kind of cool. I like the purple and I like how everything's really cohesive. I think it looks really professional and kind of just kind of neat from the way the manual is set up and the way the components are designed. They look really good. A drawback of the art, however, is that it can be extremely hard to read the very light print or the numbers that are extremely small. So in general, the information that you need to be able to read off of the cards every round can take a little bit of squinting at to figure out what exactly it is that they say. So while the art is pretty, I would say that it's not strictly functional, but I do believe that it could be easily fixed by just making the numbers and the icons a little bit bigger and a little bit darker. Now, it's not my intention to take a dump on independent game designers, and it makes me feel really bad to have to be critical about somebody, or not about somebody, because this isn't about the person, obviously, it's about the game. About a game that has been created and entered into a contest, and it is completely free for all of us to try out. But I find that against COVID-19 is just a little bit too problematic in order to be considered an enjoyable experience, for me at least. So the reason for this is that it's extremely hard to learn. The manual is not really very well laid out. It took me actually a couple of hours just reading and rereading and trying to figure out what this manual was trying to say. So this game is difficult to learn, particularly from the manual. And once you have learned this game, you'll find that I find the mechanics to be rather slow and cumbersome. And also this game is extremely difficult. I really don't know how anybody could beat this game because the infection rate just rises so quickly. And you really don't have very much time to react because before you know it, the infection number is already up at 19. And the death just continues to rise. So I'm not entirely sure how much playtesting this game got. It could be that this game is in fact beatable, but if it is, I think there's probably a very specific order of things that you have to do or a very specific strategy that you have to use. And in this case, this game would be like a puzzle. But once you find the one strategy that works, I don't know if this game is going to have very much replay value. As much as I seemed opposed to the theme at the beginning, I do realize that we all have different ways of kind of coping with current situations. And so I can kind of understand how designing a game like this might be a way to help process or cope with feelings surrounding this pandemic. So I'm not going to necessarily say that it's wrong to make a game like this. But as far as even the theme goes, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, because in the case of COVID-19, you can't actually wipe out the infection just with people and medical supplies. And just putting a lot of people and medical supplies in a location isn't really going to be enough to wipe out the virus. I could see this as being something more about like a different kind of fictitious disease that has a vaccine for it, but at this point there is no vaccine for COVID-19. So maybe this game would have been better if it was themed a little bit more generically, if it was just called like Outbreak and it was just about some kind of generic pandemic. So as much as this pains me, I'm going to have to give this game a pass, personally. Now, of course, this is just my opinion, and I do encourage that everybody also, if they want to just try it out, form their own opinion for themselves. Maybe I was playing it wrong, maybe I misunderstood some of the rules. But as for me, this is not the kind of game that I would really enjoy spending my time on. I appreciate the designer for putting themselves out there, though. It's a huge risk whenever you put your creative anything out there for public scrutiny. And I really wish them the best for any future game designing endeavors. I feel like this game, there could be a good game in there somewhere, is what I'm trying to say. Is I could see this being a good puzzle somehow, maybe with just the difficulty being adjusted or some of the mechanics being retuned. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what I do here, please consider subscribing so you can follow along with what I do next. So I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye and take care of yourself.